At least half of my clients that I treat for depression didn't realize that's what they were suffering from. Let's talk. Hi there, Shannon here with Genesis Balance. First off, if you're new to my channel, I want to say welcome and thank you for stopping by. And if you have been here before, I want to say welcome back and thank you so much for your support. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and click that subscribe button below and make sure you click the bell for notifications because I don't want you to miss a minute of this content that's designed to help you live your best life. So, am I depressed? It's interesting because, like I said in the beginning, at least half of the clients that I treat for depression did not realize they were depressed and that is what was causing them to feel so off and so much like not themselves. But depression is kind of tricky in that way because it doesn't always look like a rain cloud above someone's head. And that's typically what we think of when we think of depression. We're thinking, Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, who's just always down, always sad, and just kind of has that vibe about them. But that is not what depression always looks like. It can manifest in that way. It can seem like someone does seem down all the time, does seem sad. And that is what we traditionally think of, but it doesn't always have to be that way. So there's two things that really have to be present. One or the other need to be present in order for you to have an official diagnosis of depression. You either need to have a depressed mood for most of the day, nearly every day, which is that rain cloud that I was just talking about that everyone kind of envisions when you say the word depression or you say someone's depressed. But the other thing that you can have that will actually help you or lead to you meeting the criteria to be diagnosed with depression is a loss of interest. And that is usually one of the biggest indicators for me as a therapist that I need to dig a little bit deeper and see if my client is experiencing any other symptoms of depression, because that very well may be their diagnosis. So, like I said, depression is not just sadness. Depression has all types of other symptoms. A lot of them are physical symptoms. When you're dealing with depression, you feel it in your body. You just don't feel right. You may not feel necessarily sick, but you just don't feel good. So the other symptoms of depression, besides the depressed mood and the loss of interest or, kind of a overall lack of motivation, are weight loss or weight gain. So if you suddenly start losing a lot of weight and you're not dieting, you're not trying to lose weight, or you suddenly start to stress eat, or, you find yourself eating more and more comfort foods, you find yourself just, eating out of boredom, and you find yourself gaining weight, that is a common symptom of depression. Insomnia or hypersomnia, either or. So insomnia is pretty much when you're having problems sleeping. You can't get to sleep. You're falling asleep, but you're not staying asleep. You're not getting good quality sleep. You're not sleeping long enough. That's insomnia. Hypersomnia is the complete opposite, where you are going to sleep, but you're sleeping way too much. You find yourself, all you want to do is sleep. And hypersomnia is usually one of those telltale signs to me that my client may be depressed. When I have a client come in and they say, I get home from work and all I want to do is go straight to bed. Every single day, all you want to do is sleep. It leads me to think, okay, maybe it's not just the fact that you're really, really tired. Maybe you're also having some symptoms of depression. So restlessness or moving in slow motion. So with that, restlessness means, you're moving a lot more. You can't really sit still. You're kind of fidgety. You're kind of Maybe you're tapping your pencil on the desk, maybe you're shaking your legs, things of that nature. Or the complete opposite, moving kind of in slow motion, like you're just kind of dragging. You can't really, get yourself into gear enough to really move at the pace that you would normally move at. So if you're finding those things in yourself, either of those two things can be a sign of depression. And then fatigue, loss of energy, even if you are not necessarily having sleep problems, or you don't really identify yourself as having sleep problems. If you're tired all the time, you're just exhausted all of the time, which usually ends up leading to that hypersomnia that we talked about, where you just want to sleep all the time because you just don't have any energy. Feelings of worthlessness or feeling guilty. If you find yourself feeling extremely guilty about things that maybe you shouldn't feel guilty about, maybe you're feeling like you're letting everyone down, you're letting yourself down, you're letting your family down, you're letting your friends down, you're letting people down at work, you can't seem to get it together, that is a key symptom of actually being depressed, of having depression. Loss of concentration. It's hard for you to think. You can't get your words together. You can't put thoughts together. Indecisiveness. You can't make a decision all of a sudden. Everything is just, you're kind of just staring into blank space when someone's talking to you or someone asks you a question. And for whatever reason, you can't seem to grasp what it is they're saying enough to have a response. You can't seem to put your thoughts together enough to make a coherent thought or a coherent sentence. Those things are all symptoms of depression. And then, of course, the thoughts of death, the suicidal ideation, thinking about harming yourself, thinking about harming someone else, things of that nature. That really falls more along the lines of what people typically think of when they think of depression. And it's interesting because sometimes I'll be doing an assessment with the client, and we'll get to the question of, okay, have you thought about hurting yourself or someone else? And they'll be like, no, I haven't. So basically, I can't be depressed because that's what depression looks like, isn't it? But that's not always the case. That's not always what depression looks like. It can have that whole laundry list of symptoms that I talked about, and you not have any type of obvious depressed mood. Like, you may not see the depressed mood, obviously. You may just feel less motivation or a loss of interest, but you don't really feel necessarily depressed, but you have these other symptoms along with that loss of interest. And that's really how we as therapists diagnose whether or not it's clinical depression. So the other thing that people may not realize is it doesn't need a situational trigger. Like, depression can come on just out of the blue. And so sometimes people feel like, well, nothing bad has happened. I haven't lost a loved one. I haven't lost a job. I haven't broken up with my significant other. Nothing bad has happened to me. So I can't be depressed. It can't be depression that is causing me to feel this way. But sometimes it can be. It can just be that you are suffering from depression, because depression is also, not only is it, brought on by an event or something triggering you, but depression also can just be a chemical imbalance. And if the chemicals in your body are off, those feel-good chemicals that you should have, you don't have enough of it, then you're going to feel depressed. You're going to have these other symptoms of depression, even if nothing bad has happened prior to you starting to feel these symptoms. Sometimes they really do just come out of the blue, and there's really no indicator of necessarily why it was coming on or the fact that it is coming on. So that is one of the biggest things when you're talking about depression, is it is not always because something bad happened. I get a lot of clients that feel like they should just be happy. So clearly what they're dealing with is not depression, because they have a good job, they have a good partner, they have all of these things that should make them happy in life. And so because everything is going well for them, there's no way that they would be suffering from depression, that they're having a depressive episode. So that's kind of when we see people, the rich and the famous, that end up, overdosing, committing suicide intentionally, things of that nature. So we look at, okay, well, they have it all. They have everything that they could possibly want, that they could possibly need. They're taken care of. They have all this money, all this fame and fortune. Why do they have depression? That should make them happy. But the thing to remember is happiness is not the opposite of depression. Those two things don't necessarily go hand in hand. I can be in a situation that I am happy about and I still feel down on the inside. And you get a lot of people that are dealing with depression, but on the outside, they're smiling, they're laughing, they're talking, they're the life of the party. But on the inside, they don't feel great. They don't feel like themselves. They're not really experiencing that happiness, even though the situation that they're in, they should be happy. And then the other thing that I think is important is that it is okay if you're having these symptoms to seek help. Because again, these symptoms don't necessarily present themselves as depression for the average person. The average person is not thinking of that laundry list of things and saying, oh, this must be depression. The average person may be thinking, I need to, eat better. I may need to just get more sleep. Maybe I can't concentrate because I am just really, really tired. Maybe I'm sleeping all the time because I've been really busy at work. So there is always kind of a rationale around why it feels like there's always another reason for those symptoms. And it very well could be another reason. But the point is, as a therapist, what we look at is all of those symptoms in tandem together. So when, yes, you may just be fatigued, you may just be tired, but when we couple that with the fact that you're feeling worthless and guilty and you're having, weight gain, and you also can't seem to get motivated to do the things that you once loved to do, you've completely lost interest in the things that you once loved, then we start thinking, okay, maybe there's something more to it than that. So if you are experiencing multiple symptoms from that list that I gave earlier, then I feel like it's very, very important that you talk to your doctor or you find a therapist, because the great thing, the good news, even though there's a plethora of symptoms that can go along with depression, the good news is it's treatable. So you don't have to feel that way. You don't have to feel all of those negative symptoms that we talked about. You can get better. You can feel better. And the first step in doing that is, one, to kind of check in with yourself and realize, okay, maybe there is something there that I need to get checked out. And then two is to actually take the time to get checked out. Have a professional go over your symptoms with you. Have a professional do a full workup on you, a full assessment, and see what they have to say about what you're experiencing and see what they have to say about what you're feeling. Because if it's depression, then they can help you. You don't have to feel that way anymore. So this video was really just a brief rundown on what depression actually looks like in someone, because you may be someone that's sitting there thinking, am I depressed? And you may have rationalized all the reasons why, no, I can't be depressed. But at the end of the day, especially if it's a chemical imbalance, there's nothing that you can do to change that until you seek professional help. So I really hope that this video was beneficial to you. I hope that you learned something new. If you did and you enjoyed this video, you feel like you learned something, please, by all means, make sure to give me a thumbs up and to make sure you say something in the comments to let me know that I'm on the right track with providing you the type of videos that you're wanting to see on mental health. And if you haven't done so as of yet, please go ahead and click that subscribe button and make sure you click the bell for notifications, because it's my goal to continue producing videos for you that's going to help you live your best life.